Welcome back to another CCI video update. This time we're with Karen Jung with NexTech. Karen is the president of NexTech, and I'm going to ask Karen to introduce NexTech and a little bit about yourself. Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
NexTech is a nonprofit organization based in Indianapolis. We're about 4.5 years old, and we are committed to bringing computer science education and experiences to K-12 classrooms throughout the state of Indiana. Our belief is that computer science is really a fundamental right that every student should have access to, and we work with schools and school districts to bring down all the possible barriers that they may face to bringing computer science in the classroom.
Computer science is very big, it seems, in Indiana right now, really across the country. What do you attribute that to?
You know, the growth of computer science, there's a lot of factors that kind of have driven it ahead, if you will, beginning with a national movement that began probably about 5 or 6 years ago from a group of advocates, starting with code.org and expanding, just recognizing that computer science is not about coding. It's really about teaching students the fundamental skills that employers are demanding today. That's critical thinking, problem solving, creativity. There are survey after survey of organizations that say what new employees they're bringing in post-college, those are the top skills that students are lacking. So I think really a large push there, and then that's been backed by industry and their demand to make sure that they're seeing the necessary skills. Also, though, computer science is an amazing gateway into all the computer-related fields that are not going away anytime soon. And so industry, I think, as we all know, is facing a lack of qualified talent. So putting their money into the game, I think, has also helped spur it ahead.
Yeah, sure. So part of the Comprehensive Counseling Initiative is focused on college and career readiness. A lot of our high school counselors are working with this all the time, middle school and elementary to a degree as well. You have to interface between business and industry and education quite a bit. What kind of tips do you have, or challenges and successes that you can share with us?
I think maybe in addressing first, and what are some of the challenges that we hear on the educator side. We've trained over 1,500 teachers across the state of Indiana, worked with 600 different schools, so we've got a pretty large audience coming to us and recognizing us as an organization that's connected to industry. They often they don't know who to contact. If they may know of a specific organization or community, but they don't know who to call. They also face just general challenges in logistics. But even beyond that, there's this foundational unawareness or underappreciation for what is available if somebody wants to pursue a computer-rated path. As I said, there's a big assumption that it's coding. In fact, only about 55% of computer-related jobs are in coding. They span a number of other varieties, from quality engineering to user experience to product management. So there's this myth and lack of understanding on the education side. The other element is there's this broad assumption that all tech talent goes to tech companies. Mm-hmm. So in our community, the Salesforce of the world, and you think broader like Google, Facebook, and in fact that's another myth, where really about 67% of jobs in technology exist in companies that aren't technology. They're in industries like agriculture, retail, manufacturing. So I think there's kind of a lot of issues that are happening there. So we've really tried to tackle it even at the top, and from both the teacher and working with guidance counselors and curriculum directors and understanding what the opportunity is, and then how computer science can be a pathway towards that.
Yeah. What do you need from schools that could help you do your work better, and what should schools know that maybe they don't think about when they're working with an organization like yours?
In terms of what schools need to understand is there is a wealth of resources and opportunities available to them to bring computer science education to the classroom. What listeners may not be aware of is the fact that in Indiana, Senate Bill 172 was passed last year, which requires all Indiana schools to offer computer science by 2021. Yeah. And trust me, we are not nearly hitting that 100% target yet. So schools may be overwhelmed in trying to understand, what do I do?
Yeah.
And to understand that there's a wealth of resources regardless of where you are as a school in terms of physical location. So if you're rural, you may need some online options. Where you are relative to budget, there are free and paid options. What type of professional development you need. that 5 years ago when we started this effort in Indiana, there were very few resources. I probably could have named them all in one hand. Now, if you go to even the Indiana Department of Education website in the computer science section, they provide a whole litany and list of organizations just like NexTech that are willing to provide professional development in schools. Really just need to start to think about, how do you not see that daunting deadline of 2021, but figure out how do you just get started and how do you have that conversation.
Right. And so your professional development is not only for math or computer science teachers, but also for those who support those efforts. Is that correct?
So where we focus our training on truly is any teacher.
Okay.
And regardless of their background, because part of what had kind of led to the slow adoption of computer science, initially it was a lack of understanding of the importance and awareness of why computer science matters. But as schools started to embrace it, then they faced that challenge of teachers. There aren't computer science teachers just sitting around, especially if you look at who can teach it at a high school level. So it's important to find that organization that can provide professional development to any teacher. So we've got stories personally at the high school level where we've taken an English teacher who had taught English for 15 years and after 2 years was teaching an AP level computer science course.
Wow.
And we have similar stories of gym teachers at the middle school level and really working even at the K-5 level where those teachers truly are generalists. And our focus is as much about just how to inject these concepts into everyday courses that you're teaching, because that's another key point to stress is that computer science really is not a standalone topic. It has application, just as it has application in every industry and every job. There are ways to integrate it into every classroom topic.
Yeah. So counselors, I know personally we'll get questions from some students who'll say, why do I need this class? I won't ever use this. I'm not going to be in computers. I don't do well in computers. Can you give them some advice on how they should answer that or respond to students like that?
It's often you will encounter those students that kind of perception of, we get a lot of, I can't do this or I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
As far as the I can't do this, it is, once you get students engrossed in the curriculum, it has to be the right curriculum that's based on activities and based on projects.
Sure. And
it's relevant to them socially and culturally. We've continuously heard story after story of students that once they're in, it's like, wow, I can do this. Just as we've heard teachers that thought they couldn't teach computer science. And we get them through the process and the training and they see the engagement from the student, like, oh wow, I can do this and I can see my students respond. And I think as far as helping students better understand why they need to learn this, there are a couple of different angles that schools and teachers can take. One is sharing some of those statistics that I shared earlier and really breaking down the stereotypes and the myths of where does a computer-related career take me? And also providing as many anecdotal or even specific examples of how technology is applied in different industries. So one example that we often think about is sports. Young boys and girls alike have at least a cognizant relationship with sports, some more than others, but talking to them about the wearable technologies and the amount of data that's collected and how teams and trainers will interpret that data to improve performance, whether it's of a physical athlete or at the Indianapolis 500, for example. I mean, the amount of technology that's collected and used. So it's really being able to understand what your students are passionate about and then layering on top of that how technology is powers that industry or powers that job. And what we really want to stress is you don't have to choose. If you want to go into medicine, great, but be aware that in every industry of medicine, you have to be comfortable using technology. I'm going to share one more stat with you, if that's okay, focusing on just the reality of every job is a tech job, whether you're in a tech role or not. There was a report done by the World Economic Forum a few years ago that looked at millennials across the world and their ability to solve problems using technology or communicate information. The U.S. ranked 19th out of 20th, worst in terms of the ability to do that. And again, these are talking about skills that every student needs because whether they are creating technology or having a job outside of that, they're going to use technology. So I think stressing that importance to students. But again, it's always about finding out what they're interested in, what they're passionate about, and then making that connection.
That's fascinating. You're statewide, is that correct?
Yes, we focus statewide, so we've got everywhere from Gary down to Evansville, across and up to Fort Wayne. And that's been a core focus for us is it's easy to solve, or easier, I should say, to solve problems in metro areas with dense population, access to unlimited resources, but how do we bring those same opportunities to teachers and students across the state? So we've made a commitment to take our programming and execute programs, create workshops or lead workshops in really every county in the state. I think we've hit to this point, and that's focused primarily on that professional development. One of the areas that we're looking to expand is bringing classroom to what we call classroom to career experiences. And because teachers unfortunately don't have that understanding of some of those stats I shared earlier, that understanding of how technology is applied. So if we can find businesses inside of each community that will open up their doors and bring teachers in for a day to learn about the rules of technology, to learn about both careers as well as the application, it's amazing what the teachers can then take back with them to the classroom. We've done this in Indianapolis for the last couple of years, and one of the teachers stated, I kid you not, I did not know there was a software company in Indianapolis, which is, I don't blame that teacher. How would they? They don't see Facebook and Google. They don't know that exact target at the time was a software company. So organizations like NexTech, and there are others like us that are more kind of community foundation driven across the state, it's their job and their responsibility to leverage the relationships they have outside the community and bring that to the classroom. Again, speaking to some of the challenges I said earlier, where teachers just don't know where to go and they don't know how to connect with the right resources.
That's great. So you'll continue to work with teachers. I would encourage you to open it up in the future to school counselors as well. They'd love to do that. In fact, a couple summers ago, one of those teachers was a school counselor because we supported her through a program through the Department of Education, and I know she loved it. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's probably one thing I didn't stress enough. So we will hold workshops throughout the state just for guidance counselors and administrators. And part of that is the career focus of it, but then also on the administrative side is as they are thinking about bringing computer science, is walking them through kind of an implementation process and workshop. So I probably didn't stress that enough, but I think certainly, the more that we can help guidance counselors, to me, it's really anybody that engages with the student. It takes a village, and so anybody that's interacting with that student, and we think a lot about how can we better educate parents on advocating for their students to think about computer science as a pathway. So it's fantastic that there are initiatives like the counseling initiative to help shine a bright spotlight on this. And the good news is that even beyond that effort, there are organizations that are so committed to this and committed to the success of these students and their ability to compete and prosper beyond high school, that I feel the state we're moving in a very, very positive direction.
Wonderful. That's exciting. Well, we're going to wrap it up with giving us some places. Where should schools or counselors go if they want to get more information?
So there's two layers. If they just want to think about how to bring computer science in a general way, as I mentioned, the Department of Education has really made a commitment to bringing together, because it is, how do you decide? If they want to learn more about NexTech and engage with us, our answer truly is just jump in. Give us a phone call, visit our website. We've got forms that you can fill out, and we will work with you as an individual school to understand where you are. You may already have some computer science courses that you offer, but you're looking to bring in a different layer. Fantastic. We are very much in the collaboration business. We're not trying to displace anybody. And it just starts with a simple conversation, and from there we can have you up and running and hitting your 2021 deadline well ahead of schedule.
Fantastic. Karen, I know it's a short bit of time, but this is really informative. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.